Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester. And in today's video I'll be trying out this Jaguar XF X250. Now, I've already done a handful of X250 reviews. Many of you eagle-eye viewers watching this may notice that this is an XF Sportbrake, specifically the estate version of the Jaguar XF. This car was kindly lent to me by Sophie, and if you are a Jaguar owner and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. Now, if you want the full overview of the Jaguar XF, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. In this video, we're just going to focus on the Sportbrake. A quick overview. Technically speaking, there have always been Jaguar estate cars, but they were either coach built or one-off prototypes, such as the Jaguar XJ40. But the first production Jaguar estate came out around 2004, which was the X-Type estate. Now, the X-Type was one of Jaguar's more old-fashioned looking saloons, but the estate rear end was designed by Ian Callum, which personally I always thought the contemporary looking rear end did not match the more old-fashioned front. And after the X-Type was discontinued in 2009, there was no direct replacement. There was the XE later on, but that was saloon only. However, the Jaguar XF was introduced in 2007 only as a saloon, with a facelift coming out in 2011. However, a year later in 2012, they introduced the estate XF, or the Jaguar XF Sportbrake as it's known. And once again, the Sportbrake was designed by Ian Callum, but then again, he also designed the saloon. From the front end, the only giveaway that this is a Sportbrake are the rails on the roof. But the interesting thing is, the XF got its estate version, but its predecessor, the S-Type, didn't. Once again, just like the saloon, here in the UK, you can only get the XF Sportbrake with either a 2.2 diesel or a 3-litre V6, as seen on the S. There was no XFR Sportbrake, but they did make 61 RS Sportbrakes, which are very rare, and I've only seen a handful in person. So in other words, if you want a petrol Sportbrake, you really have to find one of those ultra-rare RS Sportbrakes. But that being said, there were petrol Sportbrakes overseas. And when it came time to replace the X250 with the X260, once again, the Sportbrake was introduced. However, whilst the petrol S was available in the UK as a saloon, it wasn't available in the Sportbrake. So once again, you can only pick the 2-litre Ingenium diesel or the 3-litre V6. There was no R, RS or SVR variant of the 260. Whilst the Sportbrake is about 110 kilograms heavier than the saloon counterpart and 0.2 of a second slower to 60, Jaguar did make up for its handling by adding stiffer anti-roll bars and swapping out the rear coil springs for air suspension. So here is the front of the Jaguar XF Sportbrake, and here is the key fob. This is one of the last model years of the X250, so it has the red emblem, the script on the back, the option for black pack, and unfortunately the peel happy key fob. Once again, watch the original review for the full description. We're just going to focus on the changes to this particular car. So firstly, it's an R Sport. So it has the same front bumper as the S, but this is also an R Sport with a black pack, which means it has the black inserts here, the black grille surround, as well as the black mesh. This particular car is Stratus Grey. Coming around, once again, the overall side profile does look very good, and it's also a bit slopey, so it A, doesn't take away the looks from the saloon, and B, it prevents the car from looking too hearsey. This particular car has the Draco wheels, which are the same wheels that you got on the XFR 100, which was the special edition pre-facelift XFR before they moved to the facelift. And of course the facelift XFR got these wheels as well. And because this car is not an S, the calipers are not coloured. Inevitably, being an estate car, this car has roof rails and a shark fin on the back. And once again, the greenhouse isn't too expansive or slab-sided, but at the same time it doesn't look too tightly packaged. Here's the back wheel. Interestingly, you get these little leapers on the tail lights, and similar to the XJ of its time, the D-pillar is gloss black regardless of what colour you get, and you also got a nice little lip spoiler on the end. Coming to the back, the rear end of this Sportbrake isn't very dissimilar to the saloon equivalent. The tail lights still have an Aston Martin DB9 look to them, and in the case of this black pack you got this black trim linking the reverse lights together, or chrome if you don't have the black pack. You also get this massive high-level brake light, and unlike the saloon, it's mounted on the top of the windscreen as opposed to the bottom. And once again, being a 2.2, it's got the single exit exhaust as opposed to the dual as seen on the 3-litre, or quad seen on the RS. A bit pedantic, but unlike a BMW 5 Series Touring, you can't open the glass area of the tailgate separately. Now coming to the back, this particular car has an electronic tailgate, and the main benefits of having a Sportbrake is this very cavernous interior. Here's how much space you get. Along with that, you also have your net on the right, a little 12-volt socket here, similar to what you get in an F-Type. Because the luggage compartment is part of the passenger area, you get this 60-40 split as standard, and you can fold down the seats by pulling on these tabs here. On the left you have another storage cubby for your tyre pump. You've got a handy little hook here for shopping. You've got this really nice brushed aluminium scuff plate, and the latch for the tailgate is hidden underneath this cutout. Now if you want your two sets of shopping to be separate, simply pull on this grab handle here like so, and then pull up and then latch it onto these grooves here, and there you have it. You have a divider for your shopping. You've got another opening here which shows you your battery and your spare wheel. And to close the tailgate, you can either pull on this grab handle here or press this button here like so. Coming to the back, here's the main benefit of having the Sportbrake over the saloon. Slightly more headroom by about 1.9 inches, and of course you got the aforementioned larger cargo area. And once again, the door card looks pretty similar to its saloon counterpart. Sat in the back now, and like I said, I've got an extra 1.9 inches of headroom above me, which wasn't an issue for me in the saloon, but can be for someone a lot taller. Knee room is okay. I'm not really seeing a major difference from its saloon counterpart. And one thing I like about the 250, unlike the 260, you get a plain style seat back storage cubby. You get, as opposed to the net as seen on the 260. And once again, that's about it with the back seats. It is a bit gloomy due to lack of sunroof. Even the cup holder is the same. Coming to the business end now. Once again, nothing different here over its saloon counterpart. Being an R-Sport, this particular car has R-Sport kick plates. Once again, the interior is just the same as all the other saloons. So once again, it's got the same steering wheel. Being an R-Sport, it's got this R-Sport emblem here. Being a 2014-2015 model, it's got the final iteration of the front emblem with the updated font. And because I'm sat in an estate car, probably the only dramatic change from where I'm sat is the wiper stalk with these two additional icons. So to operate the rear wiper, you push back like so, And to spray the rear window, pull towards you. This has the same black piano as the S that I've driven. And being a 2.2, you've got the eco button here, as opposed to the power button. This particular car has black seats with red stitching. And this one has the dark headlining without a sunroof. And this particular car has the Mortzine headlining, which is also wrapped onto the sun visor. Just like the 2.2 saloon, there is no dynamic button. And you got the cubby slot here because this is a later car. And that's about it with this interior, as it's interchangeable with the saloon review. I mean, here's me starting the car, dial rising, and vents rotating. So that's the exterior and interior done now, so let's see what this car is like to drive. So, seatbelt on. Foot on the brake, press the start button, dial rises, into drive, and off we go. Sitting from here, the car does not feel too different to its saloon counterpart. Sometimes with estate cars, due to their extended length and their added body, that can actually compromise performance. But at least here in this supermarket car park, I am not feeling any difference at all. Again, this is the 2.2 diesel, so it's not the most athletic, and it's certainly not the most tuneful engines, but it is more reliable over its Ingenium counterpart. Off we go. Strangely enough, this particular car doesn't have an auto-dimming rear-view mirror, whereas the other ones did. And the only major difference sat here is the switch here for the rear wiper. And of course the slightly elongated view out the rear-view mirror. The car does feel a little bit longer than the saloon when cornering at moderate speed. And once again, it's still a good cruiser if you're willing to be put up with the agricultural sound of this 2.2. Of course, you can always get the 3 litre if this sounds too agricultural, or if you want a bit more power. And if you're really committed, you can always get yourself an RS. But really, the XFRS, Saloon or Sportbrake deserves its own separate review. Turning right. Will I feel any differences in the chassis? Again, only slightly. Compared to the saloon, I felt very minimal differences. And on the roundabout, again, it did feel slightly longer, but just like the saloon, it sort of shrinks around you. You still feel hemmed in like you're in a coupe. And it doesn't feel like all the corners of the car are too far. And maneuverability is still very good. Apparently, Jaguar also altered the rear suspension for the Sportbrake. So, ride comfort wise, it does not feel too altered at all over its saloon counterpart. If you hear something rattling, that's only something in the center console cubby. Again, nothing major here through the speed bumps from driving, so let's skip this part, shall we? Now, I mentioned in the saloon, the housing of the upper level brake light does eat into rearward visibility. Ironically though, in this Sportbrake, I've mentioned that the upper level brake light is at the top of the rear window, but the housing for the rear wiper arm eats into rearward visibility the same way the brake light does on the saloon. Into the city centre right now. Again, manoeuvrability is still identical to that of the saloon. And nothing additional to report. I'd say it's all the same over its saloon counterpart. And one thing I forgot to mention is when Jaguar made the R Sport trim, or the appearance package, unlike the competition where they add in lower stiffened suspension, the ride in this car is actually unchanged over its non-R Sport counterpart, like a luxury or premium luxury or portfolio equivalent. And I think on Jaguar's behalf that's a really good idea, because that means you have the looks of the sportier appearance pack without the compromise in ride comfort. Sharp left-hander. Is there any difference to the saloon counterpart? I'd say little to no difference at all. Because this is an R Sport, you got the performance seats, and because of that, which means unlike a portfolio or a premium luxe, I don't have to worry about rolling out of my seat like that. So having the shoulder supports is a benefit in that case. And me personally, I don't think these seats feel compromised, being a bit more wing-backed over its standard counterpart. So one last thing to check, see what it's like on the open road. Making my way to the national speed limit now, and because there's no dynamic mode, all I have to do is just press down on the dial, turn right for sport, and it dramatically kicks down the car. Again, from driving dynamics, this car feels almost identical to its saloon counterpart. Okay, into the national speed limit now. Bit of traffic in the way. 3, 2, 1, kick down. Again, there is some delay with kick down, and it didn't really kick down as much as I would hoped it would. Again, it's pretty much similar to the 2.2 that I drove. The 3 litre, I think, will have a more sportier driving experience on the roundabout now. Again, not very sure-footed, but that's the same with the 2.2. Kick down, nothing, nothing, nothing. Change gear. Someone pulled in front of me, so hard on the brakes. But yeah, that's your lot. And it's an 8-speeder again, because it's a facelift. So put it back into drive. So yeah, 1570, that's the same as a saloon. So time to do a U-turn and see what it's like in manual mode. Not that it'll probably make any difference to the saloon counterpart. Okay, on the roundabout now. Again, it is somewhat fun to drive at lower speeds, but that's the same story with the saloon equivalent. I'd say 4-cylinder for 4-cylinder, the X250 is a more fun car to drive, at least in top end speed. So change down. Yep, it's got the same delay as before, and dynamically it feels identical to the saloon counterpart. Let me give it another downshift. So my verdict is the Sportbrake drives almost identically to its saloon counterpart in terms of the way the car handles, the way the car feels, and the way the car performs. So if you are on the lookout for an XF but feel like the saloon isn't practical enough, the Sportbrake is definitely something to look into, and is most definitely not a compromise over its saloon counterpart. So let's head back to the car park and finalize this video. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Jaguar XF Sportbrake. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.